Welcome to the Smith & Nephew technique animation featuring the BioRaptor knotless suture anchor for shoulder instability repair. The anchor design offers the surgeon complete control over the amount of suture tension placed across the labrum and a precise tissue shift while eliminating knot tying and a knot stack in the joint. The product is composed of a knotless anchor securely fixated to an insertion device with a driver that runs the full length of the anchor. Components include a suture threading accessory, a retention suture to initially aid in anchor security, and an enhanced torque limiter device to properly lock the ultra braid suture across the repair. The technique begins with passing a strand of ultra braid suture through the labrum. The drill guide is then introduced and a hole is drilled on the rim of the glenoid. Both suture limbs are then passed through the threader loop and brought through the suture eyelet. The anchor is tapped in and the retention suture is removed. The suture limbs are tightened and locked on the handle, and the torque limiter knob is turned 8 times to lock the suture into place. The torque limiter now measures the travel distance of the inner plug, ensuring it is properly advanced inside the anchor and locking the suture. Now we will review the technique in detail in a patient. 2 standard anterior portals are used, showing clear track cannulas. The procedure can be done using one portal if desired. The internal view shows a typical Bankart lesion located at the 5 o'clock position. The first step is passing the ultrabraid suture with our AccuPass suture shuttle. The device is placed through the inferior working cannula. The tip is placed through the labral tissue inferior to the tear to be repaired to allow for maximum tissue shift. The monofilament loop is advanced into the joint space. Use a grasper to retrieve the monofilament suture loop through the non-operative cannula. Remove the shuttling device, leaving the monofilament suture tails exiting from the operative cannula. Pass approximately 4 inches of one limb of the ultrabraid suture through the loop end. Shuttle the suture through the tissue by pulling the monofilament tails away from the working cannula. Once the suture limb has been retrieved outside the cannula, discard the monofilament. Using a grasper, retrieve the other ultrabraid suture limb from the non-operative cannula and move it out the working cannula. Clamp with a hemostat to prevent slippage. Using the appropriate drill guide, place the distal tip of the guide against the glenoid. While firmly holding the guide in place, insert the proper drill bit and drill the hole. The depth stop on the drill bit will bottom out on the proximal end of the guide when proper hole depth is reached. Remove the drill bit and guide. Hole placement 1 to 2 millimeters from the edge of the glenoid allows for good visualization of the repair. Unclip the hemostat from the sutures. While holding the anchor handle, push the suture threader tab forward to release the suture threader loop. Thread both free ends of the suture through the suture threading loop. Remove the suture threader tab from the shaft of the device and pull to feed the sutures through the anchor eyelet. Advance the loaded suture anchor into the operative cannula and toward the prepared hole. Orient the anchor such that the free limb sutures entering the anchor are facing the tissue. Do not tension the suture at this time. Place the tip of the anchor into the prepared hole and tap the inserter handle with a mallet until the laser mark is flush with the cortical bone. This places the suture anchor approximately 2 to 3 millimeters below the bone surface. Unhook both ends of the retention suture from the inserter handle and pull one end to remove the suture from the handle. Discard the retention suture. With slight downward pressure on the inserter handle, manually pull the suture limbs, either individually or together, to tighten the suture across the labrum and lock them on the handle. Once tight, rotate the torque limiter on the end of the handle clockwise about 8 turns until several clicks are heard to lock the sutures into place. To finish, unhook the sutures from the handle and disengage the handle from the anchor by pulling straight back or tapping the distal end with a mallet. Discard the insertion device. Probe the repair to verify the proper repair is obtained, then cut the suture limbs to complete the first anchor repair. Repeat with additional anchors until the desired repair is obtained.